Sure, one last kick. This is gonna be it. This is the moment. Vicario kicks this. And Liverpool are there. Liverpool are Premier League champions. And there it comes. Crystal Palace, for the very first time in their history, are FA Cup winners. Oh, he's found the net. Oh, what a goal. Kvaratskhelia is through, wants to add a fourth, and does so. Ahmad, oh my goodness me. That is absolutely unbelievable. Rice again. Oh! You thought he couldn't beat the first one. He's gone and bettered it. Another whip ball in. The header is in by Virgil van Dijk. Incredible. A very good evening, welcome to LFS for the 2025 Super Cup live here on LFS this evening. It is the Champions League winners PSG taking on the Europa League winners Tottenham Hotspur in Udine in Italy this evening to see who can claim their very first Super Cup trophy. PSG were runners-up back in the 90s, as were Spurs, but both want to get their first trophy in this competition. And both sides, well, it was their first real taste of European success in a long time. PSG, their first Champions League win in their history. Tottenham, their first trophy in 17 years, winning the Europa League against Manchester United back in May. And both will have the chance to get a second European trophy in the bag tonight. We're looking forward to this one. Let's show you how they got here then first off this evening, because this is a game that is very hotly contested, and Champions League winners have had the success over the last number of years. This is how PSG's route to their Champions League win was last season. They finished 15th in the league phase, barely progressing to the knockouts with 13 points from their 8 games. Stade Brest, also fellow French side, they were the opponents in the playoff round, to face. Ultimately, in that one, 3-0 win and 7-0 win in the return leg. Liverpool then were their opponents in the round of 16, and they lost the first leg, did PSG, but won the second on penalties. And Aston Villa in the quarterfinals, 3-1 win at the Parc des Princes before 3-2 defeat at Villa Park. It was a very close tie in that one before Arsenal in the semi-finals, 1-0 win away and a 2-1 win at home for PSG before the final. That incredible final, as you can see on that left-hand side, winning the trophy by 5-0 against Inter Milan. The biggest winning margin of a Champions League final ever in history, and that was how they claimed victory. In terms of Tottenham, to their route to the Europa League victory, they finished 4th in the league phase with 17 points from their 8 games. They went to AZ Alkmaar in the round of 16, of course, got the bye to the round of 16, finishing in the top 8. A 1-0 defeat away from at home, followed by a 3-1 win away, meant they recovered to head through into the quarterfinals. They faced Eintracht Frankfurt, a tight affair, but a 1-0 win in the second leg negated a 1-1 draw in the first leg. That meant they were heading to the semis, faced Bodo Glimt, and it was easy work in the end, finishing 5-1 on aggregate over the 2 legs for Spurs. Before that, narrow 1-0 victory against Manchester United in the final, of course, which we watched here. And look at those scenes. The captain at that point, Heung-min Son, who has left the club now, who lifted that trophy aloft. 17 years since 2008, Spurs were without a trophy. And now, as I said, they have the chance to go and get 2 in a number of months. And it is very exciting tonight, this one, here in Udine in Italy. It's a place that I didn't know existed before tonight. So there you go. As the Champions League and Europa League trophies, the captains of each team will carry them out. Marquinhos for PSG, and the new Spurs captain, Christian Romero, who was announced as the new Spurs captain today, of course, with Son heading to the MLS to play for LAFC. And PSG have had their own drama over the last few days with a bit of a goalkeeping departure expected. We'll talk all about that very shortly. As the players do come out onto the field, as I said, another European trophy awaits. And those sets of fans, both sets of fans, will be really desperate that their teams can claim victory tonight. Some expecting it to be a one-way affair, but you never know. Anything is possible in these tournaments. And what a way to start his new tenure at Spurs for Thomas Frank. His first real competitive game in charge of the club. And he goes and takes on the might of PSG, the European champions. What a job at hand. Let's have a look at the two teams then for tonight, starting with PSG. And that goalkeeping change is the key point. Chevalier starts in goal in replace of Gigi Donnarumma, who's had a real controversial last few days. Is he going to be a PSG player? He doesn't think so. His agent doesn't think so. Well, what's going to happen there? He's not in the squad tonight. In a back four for PSG, Achraf Hakimi, Marquinhos the captain, Willian Pacho and Nuno Mendes, that incredible defence that claimed the trophy last season. In midfield, Vitinha has two different partners in midfield today. It's a 4-3-3, but a very rejigged 4-3-3 for PSG, with Vitinha alongside Zaire Emery, and Kvaratskhelia, we believe, will be in midfield. In a more attacking sense, of course. Desiree Doué, who got those two goals, incredible goals in the Champions League final. He's alongside Bradley Barcola, who's been linked with moves away, but he might just be staying put in Paris. And Ousmane Dembele, surely the Ballon d'Or favourite, he starts up front. On the bench for PSG, Safonov, Bellucci, Marin, Beraldo, Hernandez, Camara, Ruiz, Lee, Ramos and Mbaye. No Donnarumma, no Mukiele or João Neves, who is suspended for this game. For Tottenham, Vicario starts in goal. A changed system with Thomas Frank taking charge. A change in ideas for Tottenham Hotspur. They start with Vicario in goal. A back 3/back 5 of Pedro Porro. Christian Romero, the captain. Kevin Danzo alongside Mickey van der Ven. And Jed Spence at left wing back. In midfield, Rodrigo Bentancur alongside João Palhinha, who's joined on loan from Bayern Munich. And Pape Sarr starts alongside them. Mohamed Kudus, who's the big money signing, £55 million from West Ham, he starts in a front two alongside Richarlison. And on the bench for Spurs tonight, Kinski, Austin, Gray, Davies, Byfield, Vuskovic, Bergvall, Tell, Solanke, Johnson and Odegaard. No Dragusin, Kulusevski, Madison, Solomon, Solanke, Gil or Takai, one of the new signings tonight, all outside the squad. Kick-off in this UEFA Super Cup final 2025 as the Champions League winners PSG take on the Europa League winners Tottenham here in Udine, Italy. And kick-off is next. A very good evening and welcome to the programme with us this evening for our live watch-along of this 2025 UEFA Super Cup final. Great to have you all with us this evening. Great to have you involved. Our referee this evening is João Pinheiro from Portugal. Our assistants are Bruno Jesus and Luciano Mai, also from Portugal. And our VAR is also from Portugal. Tiago Martins is our VAR tonight. So it is an exciting affair once these two get underway. What will we see from these two teams? Will they be new systems? Well, certainly we expect Spurs to be in a very different system than last season. Will PSG have that fluidity of the last campaign after going all the way to the Club World Cup final and losing exactly 30 days ago on the 13th of July? So it has been a real roller coaster of the last month for PSG, ending one season and starting another. Welcome in to everybody joining us. Bondo says, Vive Paris, aujourd'hui Paris gagne. I have no idea what that means. I've tried my best to pronounce it. But something about Paris anyway. Brandon, welcome in. Thank you very much. Brandon, the Spurs fan. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Great to have you all with us for this one this evening. Both sides in their home strips, by the way. PSG in that navy blue, and Tottenham, of course, in their home strip of white with navy trimmings. But, of course, a lot of talking points heading into this game tonight, and we're looking forward to bringing you them all this evening. Who will claim victorious? Will it be PSG or will it be Tottenham? Let's find out. about to get underway. And we're off and running. The referee gets us going for this Super Cup. And it is, and has probably been, Real Madrid's trophy over the last few years when they've won the Champions League more often than anybody else. And it is usually the Champions League winners that do claim it. Since 2000, it's over double. I think it's 17 times to 8 where the Champions League winners have claimed victory in this tournament and in this trophy. And the last time a Europa League winner claimed this trophy was back in 2018, or 2017, sorry, when Atletico Madrid won it against Real Madrid, who were the winners that year. So we see a long-range effort there, trying to test Chevalier from Pedro Porro, but that was well over the bar. And no real worry on that occasion. And of course, Chevalier, he is in a position and has been very well talked about PSG over the last 24, 48 hours. With Gianluigi Donnarumma putting out a statement yesterday on social media, and he is saying goodbye basically to the PSG fans, and saying that his time in Paris is more or less over. Here is Chevalier to Pacho. High press here from Spurs as Mendes tries to play down the left. Willing to throw in off the high pressing Pedro Porro down that right hand side. It'll be interesting to see what way Thomas Frank's team will play tonight. You know, the first real competitive game for Spurs with Thomas Frank as manager, joined from Brentford, of course, in the summer after Ange Postecoglou was sacked. Ange Postecoglou, who ended that trophy drought for Spurs last year, winning the Europa League against Manchester United. It's good work from Spurs to keep hold of the ball as they play it down the right and trying to find their new man, Mohamed Kudus. But they will get a throw in down this side off Nuno Mendes. As we're going to see this Spurs throw in. Kevin Danzo's going to target a long range throw towards Richarlison down the right channel. Richarlison takes it down against Pacho. Plays it to Porro. Try to squeeze it through the lines there, Porro, but blocked off by Nuno Mendes, and that's going to be another Spurs throw in right high up the right hand side here. They've started positively, Tottenham. Pressing quite high, pushing quite high, and Kevin Danzo is going to take this throw in again, who we think is part of a back three alongside Christian Romero and of course Mickey van de Ven. And here is Danzo to throw in long, up and around. It's not cleared away, it is eventually by Vitinha. It was a long range throw, got itself right into the box, and a decent attempt, but in the end PSG could clear their lines all the way towards Vicario for Spurs. Of course, Thomas Frank gets his league campaign underway at the weekends. For Tottenham, they host newly promoted Burnley at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Saturday at 3 o'clock. PSG get their campaign underway on Sunday night, away to Nantes in defence of their Ligue 1 title. Of course, claimed the treble last year. It could have been 5 trophies out of 5 overall. If you see down that left-hand side, they won Ligue 1, they won the Champions League, won the Coupe de France, won the Trophée des Champions, and then, of course, got all the way to the FIFA Club World Cup final and lost to Chelsea in that final, but they could have claimed everything that was possible to them last season. Spurs defending a long ball there from PSG and winning a goal kick, which Vicario sends flying out to the right hand side. Bouncing ball was taken down by Danzo, but difficult for Porro on the half turn, and he's taken out there by Nuno Mendes as he kicked that ball up the field, and the Portuguese referee going to give a free kick. Yeah, just on the turn there, and he gets the ball off, and Nuno Mendes just, the momentum really just carries him into Porro. There's nothing really too dangerous about it, but just the momentum of the challenge. And that will be a free kick to Tottenham in the PSG half. And I think, yeah, Vicario is going to take this free kick inside the PSG half. So they're Very aggressive with the start, Spurs. Long ranger from Vicario. Fizzed round to the back post. Up in the air by Danzo. He does keep it alive. He's got Vitinha for company. Rolls it round the corner to Romero. Back to Danzo. Trying to cross it in from that left side. He's tussling and bustling there. And it's thumped away by Ashraf Hakimi. And took a deflection on the way through. It will get a PSG throw, but that was again very aggressive from Spurs. Very committed. And on that occasion, it's going to be a throw in to the Champions League winners. I will also keep up to date with the League Cup first round, the Carabao Cup first round this evening. The draw was done about 30 minutes ago to an hour ago. At the minute, Birmingham are beating Sheffield United by a goal to nil in that one. It's still 0-0 between Huddersfield and Leicester. Cheltenham 0, Exeter 0, Bolton 0, Sheffield Wednesday 1, and Barnsley 1, Fleetwood 0 in those 5 Carabao Cup ties. Saw some shocks last night in the competition. Vicario sends this ball long again. Nicely held up by Richarlison and recycled to the midfield. Given away cheaply. And won back well by João Bellinha, who comes into the side on loan from Bayern Munich for the season. A player that Spurs really do need. That real battler in midfield, the ball-winning player. Win the ball back and carry them up the field. He joined on loan for the season. Of course, had a spell at Fulham, of course, before joining Bayern Munich last season. Only got 24 appearances for Bayern last season. And just the 1 appearance in the Club World Cup. Just 45 minutes in that tournament for João Bellinha. Not many minutes for him. Lovely little through ball here for PSG. Zaire Emery making the run and challenged well again, this time by Christian Romero. Right for the throw. Either side wanting to wait around here. Kvaratskhelia. Vitinha. Swings it across to Doué. He drops it back to Pacho. Now Marquinhos. Hakimi. Dembele. Very fluid PSG. As we know, Vitinha swinging the ball out to the left-hand side. Beautiful. Lots of space here for Barcola. Bradley Barcola. Trying to dribble towards the box. He's covered by 2. He steps inside. Lovely little link up. Zaire Emery across. Kvaratskhelia on the turn. And hits the shot well wide. That's fabulous play by PSG. Really intricate. One touch. Give and go passing. It's really beautiful. And Kvaratskhelia in and around 10 yards away from goal on the half turn. And he just kind of scuffs his shot as he faces the goal. The pressure of Romero and Van de Ven might have put him off and rushed him a little bit. But the scuffed shot goes wide for a goal kick. That's the first real glimpse of PSG so far, of where they can find a way through this Tottenham side. Vicario with a long range kick again. Not looking to play out from the back at the minute, are Tottenham. They're trying to win it in midfield. Bellinha does win it in midfield, but not for long. They keep it. It's cleared away by Pacho. Now Zaire Emery. Now Barcola bursting down the left-hand side. Dribbling through bodies, Bradley Barcola, as he was challenged there eventually by Kevin Danzo. And actually, the Spurs defender there, Spurs midfielder João Bellinha, has come out the worst with that collision with Bradley Barcola. He went sliding in, created the challenge. I think he kind of got stepped on a little bit by his own teammate as well. Maybe just a little bit of an issue there for João Bellinha. A fabulous challenge though. We should be okay to continue. So far it's been an energetic start from both teams. Spurs have shown that aggression in their pressing. PSG just trying to get to grips with their possession, as that was a loose ball pressed out of play for a Spurs throw-in. Well, of course, this is the first ever meeting between the two sides in any competition, so Both will want to get off to a winning start. As Richarlison got his nick of the ball there, but I think it'd run across the byline down that left-hand side. It did. Well, across 2025, PSG have won 5 of their 8 games against English teams. Of course, they beat a number of English teams en route to winning the Champions League last year. Of course, Aston Villa, Liverpool and Arsenal as well. So they know what English teams are all about and know how to find a way past them in Europe. Won 5 and lost 3 of their games against English opponents. They didn't lose their most recent match. Lose their most recent match against English opposition in Chelsea, of course, in that Club World Cup final that we mentioned, 3-0. They lost exactly a month ago today. For Spurs, they haven't won their last 2 meetings, or have won their last 2 meetings against French opposition, winning home and away against Marseille in the group stages of the 22-23 Champions League season. PSG, a very different opponent to anyone Spurs have faced. That's a fabulous little challenge there by Mohamed Kudus, and he's bursting away with the ball past Nuno Mendes, who's trying to battle back. Does well, Kudus, to keep the possession. Nice little give and go there with Porro. Kudus with the early cross. It's deep. It's Richarlison that keeps it in play. Acrobatic that from Richarlison. Right-footed delivery is far too high and wayward. And after a good spell of play there from Spurs, that Richarlison ball just deflates the whole team. And what was a positive moment, a fabulous bit of individual skill there from Mohamed Kudus, who we know what he can offer. PSG again trying to play out there, and they're having to play one touch at the minute because Spurs' press is so aggressive, so intense. They win a throw in, PSG, down the left-hand side. 12 minutes gone, 0-0 here in the UEFA Super Cup. It's the ball from the throw-in, finds its way to Achraf Hakimi here. Kvaratskhelia to Vitinha. Ball having to come all the way back. Ousmane Dembele dropping very deep here to get the ball. He rolls it out wide to Vitinha. Options ahead of him, Vitinha. Moves out wide this time to Zaire Emery. He's got Hakimi on the far right side. Back to Zaire Emery. Trying to work a way through the Spurs team, who have dropped a little deeper. Pacho. Now Nuno Mendes. Works it inside to Dembele again, who's still quite deep. He feeds it out wide to Barcola. Right, Dembele does well with his footwork to evade the challenge of Paulinho. Swings it out wide to Kvaratskhelia on the right hand side. Takes a run at a man. He's got Meny's a white shirt in front of him, the Georgian. Cuts it back, Vitinha with a deep cross round the back. Well defended there by Porro. But again, this possession won back by PSG, starting to control the ball a little bit more now. Hakimi. Kvaratskhelia. Trying to keep the ball moving quickly. PSG. Vitinha. Of course, we know what to expect from PSG. Maybe more improvements to be made. That's what Luis Enrique wants of his side. That's it. Loose ball by Kvaratskhelia, who gives it away cheaply. Now Spurs want to spring a counter. Here's Richarlison. He's got a man in running in Bentancur, and the flag's actually going to go up against Rodrigo Bentancur, who did claim the ball eventually from Richarlison, but he was in an offside position. It seemed like Spurs' counter-attack was going places, and then they got up to around about the edge of the box and it just kind of stumbled. PSG getting bodies back really quickly. And that's always the balance with, as we said, Spurs playing that back 5 tonight, / back 3, but it will be a back 5 when they head on the counter. Here's Bradley Barcola actually for PSG trying to commit something. Very good challenge there by Danzo. Spurs winning it back again. But when they do go on the counter, Spurs, it's all about bodies and support in those attacks. And when you're playing such a deep defence and when you're playing so many bodies in deeper areas, it is more difficult to get them up the field as quickly as possible. And it is dependent upon more individuals in terms of their individual quality rather than the team all pushing forward. And that's where Spurs will find the tweaks tonight. And Mohamed Kudus, certainly a player that can certainly play to that strength of using his individual skill to carry Spurs up the field. Well, so far, neither side have been majorly tested defensively. PSG have probably come, well, somewhat the closest in that sense. Just 3 shots in the game, 2 for Spurs, 1 for PSG. So Richarlison's again in an offside position as the ball was played to him. But that best chance of the game probably coming for Kvaratskhelia when he took the shot on the half turn. He scuffed it completely, but that's probably the closest either side have come to testing either goalkeeper so far. It's been a bit more of a battle for possession and territory really in the first 16 minutes. It's all about each side trying to feel each other out, figure each other out in their pressing patterns and their passing lanes and closing that down. And again, aggressive press there from Mohamed Kudus on Willian Pacho. It will be a goal kick to PSG, but he was very intently pressed there, the PSG centre-back. As they play out from the back to PSG again. Kvaratskhelia not receiving the ball down that right channel by Caoimhan, and it's intercepted here for Spence. Now back to Van de Ven. Nice Spence again down the left channel. He tries to roll it in behind for the runner there in Sarr, but he couldn't quite find him. And it goes out for a PSG throw. It's going to be a foul there as again Pape Sarr was committed in his pressing, and Desiree Doué in a little bit of an unnatural position for him, stretching to keep the ball, and in the end losing out to Pape Sarr and committing a pretty unnecessary foul in an area. They'll not want to give away any free kicks there, PSG, but they'll have to defend this one in a decent area. It's on the left-hand side. It's Pedro Porro and Mohamed Kudus who are over it. Lots of options to task in the middle. Kevin Danzo, Christian Romero, Mickey Van de Ven, all other centre-backs battling in there, amongst others. Porro and Kudus over it. Left-hand side, around about 23, 22 yards out. It's Porro, right-footed. It's flicked on and headed over by Christian Romero. And William Pacho there actually kind of got a knock while he was trying to defend that situation. Well, Luis Enrique's had to take a seat. He's going to have a wee sit down for a bit after barking orders at his team, and Thomas Frank takes over in barking orders at his team. Of course, Thomas Frank we know well if you watch the Premier League, and over the last number of years we know what incredible job he did it. Of course at Brentford, and an unbelievable job in keeping them in the Premier League, and doing so well with them. Won 136 of his 317 games in charge of Brentford over a 6.5 year spell from 2018 to 2025. Lost 110 games, drawn 71, an average of 1.51 points per game for Thomas Frank. And so far in pre-season, Spurs have lost just one of their 6 pre-season matches that they've played, unbeaten in all of their friendly games, and then they played the Telecom Cup against Bayern and lost 4-0 just at the weekend gone. They've already played the likes of Arsenal, Newcastle, 2 Premier League opponents they will face across the season already, and of course pre-season's all about fitness and building up and learning tactics and getting players up to speed, but Early promise for Thomas Frank that is maybe getting his message across to his Spurs players early in his tenure. And that'll be crucial for Tottenham as they play down the left-hand side here. Spence trying to work off the left-hand side. He's got Caoimhan on toast there. Cuts it back here for Palhinha. Now the ball fizzed into the box, but again, trying to hit an area there, Papsar, rather than any real target of any man in the middle. And it goes out for a goal kick, but again, the threat in the wide areas have been interesting from Spurs, certainly from their wing-backs, and Jed Spence got really advanced there on that attack down that left-hand side, and it really did cause PSG a few problems as they played out again and given it away cheaply again, PSG. A little bit sloppy at the moment. Spurs go all the way back to Vicario when they recover that ball. And Vicario puts it straight out of play for a throw. So that all that pressing and all that hold-up play came to nothing. Really. Hakimi to Desiree Doué for PSG. We have looked a little bit sloppy, as I've said, in certain moments. Certainly when playing from their defence. They've been caught out with that high press of Spurs between the defence and midfield, and they're struggling to link that up on a consistent basis, PSG, between their defence and midfield. Here's Dembele trying to spring one down the left side here for Barcola. He will get to it, Bradley Barcola, on the left channel. Now finds Doué. He takes a nice first touch, tries to swing it back across. And they keep it alive there, PSG, with Vitinha taking the ball down and was shoved over there by Mohamed Kudus a little bit cynically. I'm sure Mohamed Kudus will say he's just trying to put the pressure on Vitinha, but the ball had well gone by a couple of seconds before that challenge was made. It was just unnecessary, really, from Kudus, more than anything. Nice play there. Hakimi to Kvaratskhelia down the right side. Again, they're not progressing the ball very much towards the Spurs box, PSG, and they've given it away again with Dembele this time. And now Kudus, he's got Richarlison ahead of him. Can he find him? He can. And here's Richarlison, he's going to have a shot! And Chevalier had to make the save. That is crisp, concise counter-attacking play from Tottenham. They win the ball back in around about the halfway line. A cheap giveaway by Dembele. Well won by Richarlison. And then it's Kudus. He does well, striding forward, feeding the ball through to the man, and then not taking any time to worry about it. Richarlison just takes the shot from the edge of the box, and Chevalier off his line has to make a very good acrobatic save to throw it over the bar and put it out for the corner. And that was a glimpse of a chance there for Spurs. And Kudus to take this corner. Left-footed delivery. It's round the back. The header is off target. Oh, well off target there from Rodrigo Bentancur. Complete free header, but he should be doing better there. See it again. Oh, actually, maybe Palhinha was actually trying to get onto that ball as well, or Van de Ven, but it was in the end Rodrigo Bentancur who did get the header and made an absolute meal of it. I've got to say, it's not been the crisp and sharp PSG we're used to seeing, and certainly what we saw in Europe last season, and certainly what we saw across the Club World Cup as well. So far, they haven't just been at their level just yet. And we're going to take a little bit of a break here, a drinks break. It is very hot in Udine this evening. It stayed very hot all across the afternoon. According to the forecast, it's still 27 degrees Celsius in around about this time of night, 9:26 local time in Italy. It was at a high of 34 degrees across Udine today. Yeah, it's been a interesting and intriguing match so far, but both sides taking on some liquids in needing to do so. Don't forget, we have the Premier League back this Friday at 8 o'clock as we see the champions Liverpool back in action as they take on Bournemouth. That is on Friday night from Anfield for the new Premier League season. And, by the way, my Premier League predictions, all of my Premier League predictions, who I think is going to win the league, who's going to get relegated, all of that good stuff will go out tomorrow at 1 o'clock on the LFS channel. So if you want to see my predictions, who I think is going to win the league and all of that, that is tomorrow, 1 o'clock on LFS. So lots to look forward to this week. Weekend filled with action from the Premier League as it gets back underway for the new season. Looking forward to bringing it to you here on LFS. Well, so far as we get back underway here, so far PSG have had 70% of the ball, but have had one registered shot so far. That was the Kvaratskhelia effort that was scuffed. But Spurs have had 30% of the ball and have had 5 shots so far, one of which on target, which was the save Chevalier had to make against Richarlison. So it's certainly been a much more busier game so far for Spurs in an attacking sense than PSG, despite PSG having over double the amount of possession. So a long throw coming here for Spurs down this right-hand side. Another Danzo long throw into the mix. Over the head of Van de Ven and Romero as it's cleared away by Hakimi. Only as far as Bentancur. Finds Danzo, who will go for the cross this time. Away by Marquinhos. Long kick here by Vicario. Tries to find the runner in behind of Pedro Porro, who's tussling and battling with Nuno Mendes. And Mendes comes out on top this time in that battle as Pacho gets it back to Chevalier, who's under a lot of pressure. And he does get rid of the ball just about. But Spurs, that's such a high press. Incredible press. PSG just about having to get rid of it. And they do win the throw-in, but it's too close for comfort, I gotta say. Marquinhos. Zaire-Emery. Hakimi back to Marquinhos. Now Pacho. Again under pressure and a blind pass, but he finds his target in Dembele. And now on the half turn, here's Barcola making the run in behind. He's got bodies running to the box. Here's Bradley Barcola into the box. He comes, tries to cut it across. But a very good block there on that right-hand side. Puts it out for the PSG corner. I think it was Kevin Danzo. We'll see this again. Lovely from Dembele, dropping deeper, rolling the ball in behind on the turn to find Barcola in the wide area. And as Barcola tries to cut it back, it's coming across. I think maybe Pap Sarr actually makes a defensive tackle. And it goes out for the PSG corner. On one hand, very good attack and play from PSG. But very good defending from Spurs to deny that cutback. And now Vitinha to take this corner. First corner of the game for Paris Saint-Germain. Right-footed from Vitinha. It's round to the back post. It's very far. As Hakimi tries to keep it in play. He gets beaten to it, though, down that left-hand side by Bentancur. And then Vicario sends it flying again. Brought down well by Richarlison, who evaded the challenge of Marquinhos. And could Spurs be in business here? Here's Porro. Again, not much support. Not much desire there, Pedro Porro, to actually play the forward pass. Goes backwards on that occasion. He gets it again and gives it away cheaply there, Pedro Porro. It's a little bit negative, that, from the wing-back. Had a decent space, he had options in front of him and decided to turn the ball backwards. Could have been a fruitful moment again for Spurs, who have looked positive on the counter-attack so far tonight. Have looked bright. And they've kind of broke away from the PSG team. 30 minutes gone, still 0-0. And still Spurs that have had the more of the chances, and probably the best chance of the game, with Chevalier's save from Richarlison's shot. But PSG maybe just starting to offer a little bit more. We saw that moment with Dembele and Barcola down that left side a moment or two ago. I think Luis Enrique is trying to see a little bit more of that from his team. Here's Pacho. Wide it goes here to Desiree Doué. He crosses the halfway line and is brought down a little bit cynically there by Richarlison. And that's going to be a free kick to PSG. Dembele. Kvaratskhelia back to Ousmane Dembele. Lifts it over the top, round the back for Kvaratskhelia. Hakimi. Doué with a wasteful pass. Or Marquinhos, sorry, actually, with that pass. Again, it's just, a little bit too forceful from PSG. They're trying to find passes that aren't there for them. They're tripping and falling over each other. I mean, this is a bit calamitous as they give it away cheaply again this time. And now here is Pedro Porro. Is he going to try and find a teammate? He is. He brought down for Kudus. Kudus who rolls it around the corner for Jed Spence, who keeps it alive fantastically. And he's going to cut it back. But Vitinha's going to clear it away. How did Jed Spence keep that ball? Fabulous sliding tackle. And now Spurs have kept it in play. And now they've going to try and keep pushing PSG here, because I've got to say, Spurs have been the better side so far. Here is Porro. Goes for the early cross. Not cleared away well by Marquinhos. Kudus had the shot, was blocked. And Richarlison trying to do the same, but was seen away by Zaire Emery. My goodness. Even Marquinhos trying to make that touch in the box. He completely scuffs it. And almost gives Mohamed Kudus a clear shot at goal. Just looking a little bit off at PSG. Spurs, at this moment in time, I think need to capitalise upon that. Dembele. Zaire Emery now. Down to the right-hand side here with Kvaratskhelia. He's not got many options. He's got a lot of white shirts in front of him. Stops in his tracks. Works it back to Hakimi. Again, they're having to think every time they get forward, PSG. There's not an obvious pass on. Always trying to think 1 or 2 seconds about the next pass, and it's maybe slowing them down a little bit. Here's Hakimi. Now wide to Kvaratskhelia. Nice run by Doué. Doué across, but there's no one in the 6-yard box but the Spurs keeper to claim that one. Here's Kudus. Gets the ball straight from his keeper. Porro. Back to Kudus, who is under pressure, but he's held on to the ball well against Doué there and lays it off to Christian Romero. Joyce says, what is your prediction? Well, I gotta say, so far Spurs have been the better side, but you gotta say PSG's quality outnumbers them, but their performance so far, PSG, hasn't been befitting of the quality they have in their side, so it's a tough contest to call at the minute. Again, they're trying that long ball again, Spurs. It didn't quite work that time towards Richarlison. Nicely intercepted by Marquinhos. Here's Hakimi. Down that right-hand side. Vitinha. Now Dembele. Vitinha. Now Nuno Mendes. Again, a lot of PSG possession. Can they find a way through? They're gonna... Dembele was eyeing up for a long ranger, but he was closed down there. And Richarlison has it. And he's going to be bundled over, but no foul, says the referee. As PSG have a bit of space now. Dembele, again, a little bit short the passes. Spence does well defensively and clears it away. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for watching so far. It's great to have you all with us. Don't forget to press that like button on the stream, and do subscribe and turn on notifications if you haven't done so already. That would be greatly appreciated. Oh, as the ball falls here to Dembele, but he's absolutely skied over the bar. Skied over the bar there. Yeah, he takes it on the first time, and he's leaning back. It's always going over. Again, it was... I see that moment again for Kudus. Marquinhos, this really heavy touch, but I think PSG starting to maybe get a little bit more positive, but again, Spurs always looking a threat on that counter. Kudus always looking at a threat in this game, along with Richarlison. That's a nice ball down the left channel here for Spurs, and Bentancur, though, well covered over. That was a good defensive move there. I think it's Emery that made that challenge. Pacho across to Marquinhos, back to Chevalier. Now Nuno Mendes. And again, PSG trying the quick link up. They did get a deflection in there as they tried to play that 1-2 pass, and we'll get a throw in. Well, it's 8.5 minutes until the 45-minute mark, and so far neither side have found the breakthrough. As I said, Spurs have come the closest of the two sides so far, forcing a good save out of Chevalier. Did Richarlison, but PSG looking a bit more threatening in the last few minutes. Here's Kvaratskhelia lifting one to the box. Too high for Dembele. Second ball brought down by Emery. Can't get a shot off. Plays it to Hakimi, who will try. His shot was blocked, and will go out for the throw on the far right side. Trying to switch it up a little bit there, PSG. Now, Joe says Liverpool or Tottenham. I mean, I'm a Liverpool fan, so I would say Liverpool, but I don't know what context you mean. Vitinha. Don't forget as well to vote who you think will win in the poll in the chat, by the way, so get involved in that. We'll keep that poll open right throughout the evening, right throughout the game. As Porro again tries that ball down the right channel. Good physicality from Kudus there, well held. He's under a challenge from two players, and this time he's going to win that challenge, and he's going to get the free kick. Well, so far it's been pretty even in terms of the poll. 53% of the chat saying that PSG will win, 47% saying Spurs will win out of 129 votes. Thank you all for voting. Keep those votes coming in, that's greatly appreciated. Thank you very much for getting involved so far. Seven minutes of the first half to go, and another Spurs free kick just across the halfway line. Again, Vicario will take. What can they do from this set piece? Spurs, as they commit almost all of their bodies forward. It's Vicario. Again, he goes diagonally across the field. Romero wins the first header. It's bouncing around. It's going to be an opportune moment. Oh, what a save! But the follow-up is in. And it is going to be Mickey van de Ven that gives Tottenham Hotspur the lead in the Super Cup. An opportune moment from Tottenham, straight from a set piece, a couple of headers, a save under the crossbar, and from the rebound, it drops to Mickey van de Ven, who slots past Chevalier, and Luis Enrique looks to the ground in disbelief, and Thomas Frank, in his first competitive game as Spurs manager, his team have taken the lead against the European champions. Great ball by Vicario, good header by Romero, and then it's battled about in the box again. They keep it alive. I think it comes off the back of Van de Ven. Then it's Palhinha that has the shot. It then bounces back off the crossbar, falls for Van de Ven, who has an easy as you like chance and finds the back of the net. Fabulous goal. It wasn't great defending really at all from PSG. It's what we've said about them all night. They've been lacking physicality. And Spurs have been winning a lot of those aerial duels. And on that occasion they won 2 or 3 in a row. And they get the benefit. Mickey van de Ven, not the one you would have bet on before the game, but it doesn't really matter because he's got the goal and Spurs have the lead. There was a slight VAR check there for a possible offside, but the goal stands. And what a moment for Mickey van de Ven and Tottenham. They're on their way to beating the European champions. PSG have struggled. I gotta say, I've said it all through this first half. Spurs have been the better side, and PSG again have had a lot of the ball. They haven't looked very creative or very aggressive or very attackingly fluid. They've looked a little bit clueless going forward in this first half. Spurs or PSG, too many attacking bodies, I think, and they've just not really carved anything of real great note out of Tottenham. And a lot of Tottenham's play has been counter-attacking, set pieces, and those moments when they can kind of test PSG physically. And I think they've won those battles multiple times. And again, the goal, it's no surprise, comes from one, a set piece, and two, from just out-muscling PSG in their own defensive area. I mean, I gotta say, Chevalier made a great save under the crossbar. I gotta give him a lot of credit for that. But it's unfortunate the rebound falls to Mickey van de Ven. But again, Spurs players, right place, right time, and they created a great goal. And a goal, unlike the Europa League final, that wasn't really against the run of play. They probably have been the better team tonight, Spurs. They have been the more aggressive team in attack. And so far, PSG have work to do. With that edging closer to the end of the first half. Here's Bradley Barcola, skips away from a challenge. Here's a chance as he tries that cutback again, but this time it's Romero that blocks it. And another PSG corner will come. Mickey van de Ven, a key figure in this Spurs team, was absolutely destroyed by injury last season. But it's a new season, it's a new chapter, a new page in the book of his Spurs career. He's going to see that corner go out for another corner, and Desiree Doué's effort there. No, it's Mickey van de Ven's first goal since an 8-0 win for the Netherlands in a World Cup qualifying game against Malta, where he got a goal and an assist in that game. But in terms of a Spurs goal, it's his first Spurs goal since the 11th of May 2024, when he scored for Spurs in a 2-1 win over Burnley in the Premier League. That was the last time he scored for Tottenham, 15 months ago. And he's got them on the score sheet tonight. And those Spurs fans here in Udine are applauding and loving this moment so far. As Vicario will take this goal kick. PSG really did make nothing of those two corners that they had in succession. It's Kudus winning the second ball. Losing out in a tussle there with Nuno Mendes, but Porro sends it flying over the top, and Richarlison's made a run in behind. The flag stayed down as he takes control of it. Richarlison reverses it to Kudus. Down this right side, takes on his man, gets past Pacho. Kudus with a cross, it's high. It's too high for Jed Spence, who does keep it in down the left side. There's a lovely little bit of skill from Kudus to burst past his man. Another long throw from Kevin Danso. Up and away by Kvaratskhelia. Kept alive down this left-hand side. It's Jed Spence who's going to have an effort from distance. It's bounced up in the air. It's still in the box. Richarlison's flick on. Oh! Off the post from Kudus. And forced wide in the end there by PSG. My goodness me. He threw himself at that one, Mohamed Kudus. He almost got a goal out of it. That was a great opportunity. Opportunistic indeed. Well, it almost worked out for Tottenham on that occasion. Spurs could have been, or PSG could have been 2-0 down. I think PSG need a real wake-up call at half-time, as we have one additional minute at the end of this first half. I think Luis Enrique is going to have his word with his players at half-time, because they have really been below the level of European champions in this first half. I've got to say, the Spurs team have played really well in this first half, and there is the half-time whistle. And you've got to say, a first half for Tottenham that has gone really exceptionally. Defensively solid, giving away little to nothing in defence, you've got to say, against PSG, who have really struggled in this first half. And then, from a set piece, an opportune moment, the ball rebounds off the crossbar for Mickey van de Ven, who at this minute in time has a goal that could be winning Spurs a second European trophy in just a number of months. Half-time, it is PSG 0, Spurs 1 in the Super Cup. We're back very shortly. Sure, one last kick. This is going to be it. This is the moment. Vicario kicks this. And Liverpool are there. Liverpool are Premier League champions. And there it comes. Crystal Palace, for the very first time in their history, are FA Cup winners. Oh, he's found the net. Oh, what a goal. Kvaratskhelia is through, wants to add a fourth, and does so. Ahmad, oh my goodness me. That is absolutely unbelievable. Rice again. Oh! You thought he couldn't beat the first one. He's gone and bettered it. Another whip ball in. The header is in by Virgil van Dijk. Incredible. Welcome back to the UEFA Super Cup Live here on LFS. We apologise for those interruptions once again. I gotta say, I'm gonna be having a whole overhaul with my broadband over the next few days, so hopefully that gets done before the weekend and we can have a nice clean experience here on LFS for the rest of the season. Unfortunately, it's left it a bit late, but what can you do? Hopefully it will keep us going for the rest of this season on a smooth scale. When that gets done, it should be getting done in the next few days. So I do apologise for the interruptions once again, but we are doing the best that we can at this minute in time. Thanks for sticking with us. Half time, it is PSG 0, Spurs 1 in the Super Cup, and it's as little as Spurs deserve, really, from that first half. They've been the better side, they've been the more aggressive side, they've been the more intense side. I think they've looked really positive when they've, even in and out of possession. I think when PSG have been playing out from the back, Spurs have been really aggressive in pressing them, closing them down, keeping them penned in, not giving them free options, closing those passing lanes, making it difficult for PSG. And a lot of teams haven't done that over the past 12 months. They've been very kind of standoffish with PSG. Spurs have been exactly the opposite tonight, and it's benefited them. Yes, they've had much less of the ball, 29% of the possession, but look at what they've got out of it. They've had double the amount of shots, they've scored a goal at the very most, of course, and they're looking the more threatening of the two teams at the minute. They haven't had a shot on target yet, PSG, from their 4 shots that they've had. So they're not producing and not testing Vicario anywhere near enough, and I think Luis Enrique will have a chat with his players at half-time to try and resolve that. But from Spurs' point of view, it's going as well as it probably could be for Thomas Frank and his team at the minute. You know, they're up against the European champions, who are the best team probably in the world at the minute. They're having a little bit of a turbulent time, maybe rest hasn't been at its greatest. Maybe they're still in pre-season mode in a sense. PSG, after the end of last season, ended with that Club World Cup defeat in the final, and then trying to get back up to speed with that pre-season for them after a short holiday, really, for those players. You know, I think when you take that into consideration, maybe you could expect that from PSG, a little bit of a slow start, because this is their first game since that first real game since that Club World Cup final a month ago. So it is a little bit sloppy from PSG. But once again, I think Spurs have defended really, really well, and I think on counter-attack they've looked really threatening. So really, at the minute, as good as it can be for Spurs. And so far so good at half-time, but we'll see what the second half has in store. I'm sure PSG will give some sort of a fight in the second half, which is on the way in just a moment. Do stay with us. Welcome back to the UEFA Super Cup live here on LFS this Wednesday evening. Remember, don't forget the Premier League is back this Friday. On Friday evening, Liverpool take on Bournemouth as the Premier League champions. Liverpool look to defend their title. They kick off that defence in less than 48 hours' time as they take on Antonio Iraola's Bournemouth at Anfield on Friday, 8 o'clock, live here on LFS. And our predictions, my Premier League predictions, will be live on LFS tomorrow, 1 o'clock. The video will go live here on YouTube, so do look forward to that. That's tomorrow, 1 o'clock, for all of my predictions. Right, second half in Udine, in Italy, where it is Tottenham 1, PSG 0, is next. Welcome back to the UEFA Super Cup live here on LFS. The second half on the way in just a moment. Don't forget, as I said, about the Premier League coming up this weekend, so do hit that like button, do subscribe, and do put on those post notifications if you haven't done so already, because you'll not want to miss the opening weekend of the Premier League here on LFS. We've got some absolute crackers, including Liverpool, Bournemouth. We've got Chelsea Palace on Sunday, along with Manchester United against Arsenal on the opening weekend. So much to look forward to on the opening weekend, and it all kicks off on Friday night. An update from the Carabao Cup first round games. 5 of those ties tonight. Barnsley 2-1 up against Fleetwood. Bolton have got to go back, but they're down to 10 against Sheffield Wednesday. It's 2-1 to Wednesday there. Cheltenham 2-0 up against Exeter. Huddersfield 0, Leicester 1. And Birmingham still leading Sheffield United by a goal to 0. As the PSG players are already on the field, the Spurs players are just about to join them as they emerge from the tunnel. And what a first half it was for Thomas Frank and his team in his first competitive game in charge of the club. They get their Premier League campaign underway on Saturday, and what a way they would want to start their new season in a competitive manner with a European trophy under the in the bag to get the campaign off and running, and in probably the best start that they possibly could before they host Burnley on Saturday. Ashraf Hakimi there, and they'll try and build up the possession here, Spurs, just to try and build into the second half, and they more than definitely can be a bit more possessive of the ball. Spurs in the second 45, they certainly can offer that threat, but we'll see if they're able to use it to their advantage. Or will they continue with that same vein that was so successful in the first half of just allowing PSG to have a lot of the ball and try and stifle them out of the game? Oh, that's a loose giveaway again. Here's Richarlison in the box. Good save by Chevalier. Again, a cheap giveaway by PSG there. Really sloppy out from the back again. Really sloppy. They're going to give away a free kick there in the middle as they tried to win the ball back off Van de Ven. But that was another really sloppy moment. We see this again. Actually, that's the foul on Mickey van der Ven that was given. But again, it's really poor. They're playing out from the back. I think it's Vitinha that gives it away, and it's just given to Richarlison, who strides into the box, has a shot. Good save by Chevalier, but really poor again from PSG. Really poor. And Spurs have this free kick now, fairly central. It's a very long distance out, about 40 yards, if not more, away from the goal. Porro, right-footed, flicked over the top. Oh, it's off the line. Oh, it's gone in. It's gone into the back of the net. And it is Christian Romero, the new Spurs captain, replacing what the old captain would have done and finding the back of the net. And Spurs have doubled their lead. Thomas Frank's side are taking firm grip of this game. And just like Chelsea did a month ago today, they are dismantling PSG. That is terrible goalkeeping from Chevalier. He strides round the back, Romero, completely unmarked. The keeper has palmed it into his own net. That is awful goalkeeping. He kind of tries to scoop underneath it, and he just scoops it into his own net. I mean, if there's ever a worse way to start a second half, well, there it is. There it is. PSG 0, Tottenham Hotspur 2. And maybe that curse for Spurs has come to an end, because it may just be 2 European trophies in as many months for them. PSG 0, Tottenham 2. And again, it's really dreadful defending from PSG from the set piece. Do not defend it anywhere near well enough. And what a position to be in for Spurs to start this second half. Now 2-0 up. And all the work for PSG to do. All the work for them to do. What a start it would be to Thomas Frank's tenure at Tottenham. To get off to a winning start and win a trophy. Here is Achraf Hakimi. 2-8. Lovely little link up here. Is Kvaratskhelia into the box at the byline. It's blocked for a corner, I believe. It is a corner. It's good work from Kvaratskhelia. Run to the byline there, and he tried to cut back. It was well blocked by 2 Spurs players in and around the byline there. So it will be a PSG corner. As they takes quickly. Vitinha goes low, finding Dembele, who whips a cross in. And Kvaratskhelia tried the overhead kick and actually took out a Spurs player in the process, which makes him not a very popular player. It's Van de Ven that's gone down, and I think Romero wasn't too happy that his teammate was taken out in the process of Kvaratskhelia trying to score a goal. You see this again. Yeah, he's trying to go for the ball, Kvaratskhelia. He has no idea the man's there until it's too late. And then they're both battling for the ball. It's just one of those, it's a collision, but it's a foul, but it's just a collision more than anything between the two players. Christian Romero, the new Spurs captain, on the score sheet. 2 goals for Tottenham, both by centre-backs. 2 players that Spurs desperately missed last season through injury at varying periods of time. And they are making their impact here tonight in the Super Cup. Kudus trying to dribble through too many players as Desiree Doué comes away with the ball now. Tries to cut it back to Kvaratskhelia, but he couldn't quite find his man, and now Richarlison's got it for Spurs. And he was bundled over by Kvaratskhelia, which gets him a free kick. It looked like Spurs were actually eyeing up some changes very soon, which is a bit early, but they've got the bench for it. 11 players on the Spurs bench tonight, including a few one of the new signings, Luka Vuskovic, joined from Hajduk Split, the Croatian, this summer for £13.8 million. Here's Mohamed Kudus with a cross. Another header! Oh, it's gone behind. I thought that was a goal from Kevin Danso there. See this again. It's Kudus lifting it up to the back post. It's Danso that rises the highest and it hits the side netting in the end. I mean, that would have been some goal. It would have been a real calamity for PSG as they're on the move here. And it's well defended by Van der Ven, who measures that one well. And again, a sloppy move in the midfield there from PSG. Allows Spurs to keep the attack going. Although on that occasion, they're going to have a foul given against them. Pape Sarr with a late challenge on Vitinha. And that's going to be a yellow card. Well, maybe Richarlison's actually been given the yellow here. I'm trying to figure this out. The referee has shown a yellow card for the challenge. It's Richarlison that's complaining the most. I think he has been given the yellow. I think he has, Richarlison. It was actually, the yellow card was given for Richarlison delaying the restart and kicking the ball away rather than the foul itself that was committed by Pape Sarr. So that's what's got Richarlison a yellow, for delaying the restart. That's good work here from PSG. Hakimi trying the ball across the box. Low and hard, but again, comfortably cleared away by the Spurs defence. Doué picks it back up again, but it's going to be pulled back for a foul on Kudus by Marquinhos. Again, they've just lacked any sort of cohesion so far tonight, PSG. Spurs have taken great advantage of that, and credit to them. They've more than deserved this lead so far from the way that they've played. Their set pieces have been really threatening, and PSG have been really non-existent when defending set pieces. Their physicality has been nowhere to be seen from set pieces. That's where Spurs have had their advantages, and that's where they've scored both of their goals so far, as that's a long ball forward. Cleared away by Marquinhos. Dembele was beaten to it that time by a Spurs player, and that's fabulous from Pape Sarr to come away with the ball now. Porro to Sarr. Sarr trying to roll it back. Porro into the box, goes down. Wanting a penalty, he's not going to get it. The referee says play on as PSG try and break on the counter. And the left hand side here comes Barcola. He's bursting away. Bradley Barcola, he's got an option in the middle. He can't quite get the ball to the middle as it's kept in play. Cut back to Doué. Desiree Doué, can he get a chance? He's trying to dribble his way through, but again, no room. And as he tries to win the ball back, he commits a foul and gives away a free kick. And now Bradley Barcola is going to get a yellow card. Well, they're all over the place at the minute, PSG. I think they've completely lost their heads. I see it here. I mean, he's trying to force it again, Desiree Doué. He's trying to charge through four Spurs players. He loses the ball. And then he tries to commit a foul, or he tries to commit a challenge on Richarlison. He completely misses it. Hits the man. It's a foul in the Spurs box. It's clear as day. And you just get a bit frustrated here, PSG, with these moments. As the yellow card was shown to Bradley Barcola, by the way, so that is confirmed. So PSG yellow card coming in there. 10 minutes of the second half gone. PSG with that 2-goal advantage. Or Spurs, sorry, with that 2-goal advantage against PSG, and having to be very magnanimous. Spurs are really riding this at the minute. PSG are just not able to get up to grips with them. And that's something I did not think I would say tonight. Here is Kvaratskhelia. Again, just plays the ball right at Jed Spence, who is taken out once again. And that's going to be another free kick. Very stop-start last few minutes this game. Nightwolf says, come on you Spurs, 2-0 is crazy. Well, what a performance so far from Spurs, I gotta say. They have played really, really well. And for PSG, I didn't think I would be saying this, but PSG have been no match for Spurs so far in this game. And that is, in my mind, probably the craziest thing I've said in a long time. And it's true. It's probably the craziest it's been in a long while. But that's what can happen. And look, they've won it again, Spurs. Scrambling our PSG, and they're going to give away another foul, and it's going to be another yellow card. And it's Willian Pacho this time. He lost the ball. They couldn't recover it. Again, sloppy on the ball, PSG. What is going on? It's fabulous from Sarr. Great pressing, but again, PSG, I mean, I think they're all on sleeping pills. They have no idea how to deal with this Spurs press. Shocking. And now they have another set piece to defend, and they particularly haven't defended set pieces well, considering both goals for Spurs have come from set pieces. And it's in a decent area here. Pedro Porro. Slittle off to the left. It's about 28, 29 yards out. Chevalier's had to make a number of saves tonight. Pedro Porro eyeing this one up surely. He's got Kudus as well with him. Who's going to take it? I think Porro might just take this one. Right-footed. Porro hits it just wide. All the right ideas, just not the right accuracy in the end. Yeah, it was good strike. I think I took a deflection actually on the way through. It did. It did take a deflection. Up and down. He did really well there, Porro. And deflection took it off target for a corner. The predictions were like 7-0 PSG. You're right, a lot of people just said PSG would kind of run their way over this Spurs side, but a new manager, a new regime, a new tactical style for Spurs. Maybe it's bearing a lot of positives. Corner taken off the near side. Cleared away by Vitinha. Again, it's all Spurs at the minute, which is, again, a little bit of a shock. PSG barely been able to get out of their own half in the second half so far. Here's Marquinhos. Again, that long ball down the channel from PSG. It's just easily recovered by Tottenham. And that's going to be another foul. Kvaratskhelia trying to win the ball off Romero there, who took a heavy touch, but drags him down. That's going to be another Spurs free kick as they're going to make a change here, PSG. It's going to see Fabian Ruiz come on, so an extra midfielder, and Kvaratskhelia is coming off. I said there's too many attackers in PSG's team tonight. I mean, Zaire-Emery is a midfielder, but Desiree Doué, Kvaratskhelia, Dembele and Barcola, all attackers, all wanting to get up the field, and then it's leaving that midfield area very vacant, very open, very exposed from PSG's point of view, and exposed to a lot of turnovers in possession. And that's where the issues have come about, where Spurs have been able to win free kicks, been able to win the ball in good areas and get the ball forward quickly. With that lack of control from PSG all night. Of course, they've dominated possession, PSG, but not dominated territory, not dominated in the right areas, and that's the difference. Throw in incoming here on the left-hand side from Kevin Danzo. Another one of these long throw attempts from this left-hand side. He's trying to get as much distance as he can, as much of a run-up as he can, as he throws it into the box. First contact by Marquinhos, not away though. Kept alive by Van de Ven. It's going to bounce around the back. Oh, what a save by Chevalier, who throws himself at the ball. I think there was a free kick anyway for a foul on Nuno Mendes, but Chevalier absolutely threw himself at that ball. Yeah, Kudus tried the overhead kick and actually takes out Nuno Mendes in the build-up there, which is a foul. And the ball did fall round the back to Kevin Danzo, who had the shot, and a fabulous save by Chevalier. Let's just say he saved it with a body part he'll not want to save a ball with again. Chevalier. He took it full force to the nether regions, shall we say. That's another Delaying of the restart there. It's going to see another yellow card come out by the referee. João Perina. Or Perino, sorry. Kevin Danzo, I believe, has got that yellow. Second Spurs yellow card tonight. Both for delaying the restart. Kicking the ball away. Through by Spurs down the right side, intercepted well by PSG there. Zaire Emery lays one up for Achraf Hakimi to burst down the right side. He's got Doué in support, but again leaves it a little short, and that's gone out for a throw-in to PSG off a deflection. As we surpass the hour mark here in Udine, Italy. PSG 0, Tottenham 2. Here inside the stadium tonight in the Super Cup. There's a chance for PSG into the box. Here's a chance. Here's a shot blocked. And Zaire Emery was the one in the mix, and I think the flag might have went up anyway. It was Hakimi and Zaire Emery who were in the middle. And Hakimi, cuts it back for Zaire Emery, but is he offside? He's on. He's onside, but again, they try and get the shot off blocked. Then another shot was closed down, and in the end it came to nothing. But the offside flag went up wrongfully, but it did go up. And Spurs were defending the box incredibly well in any case. Eilish says, I'm sure it is, says, I'm going to cry, oh my God. Nightwolf says PSG fans thinking they're going to win 9-0. Meanwhile, Spurs scoring with defenders. Both set pieces they scored from Spurs. From free kicks. Charlison holds the ball up a bit unorthodox. But he's got the ball. He's going to recycle it back to Mickey van der Ven, which gets an applause from the Spurs bench. A lot of applause from Thomas Frank to his players so far tonight. And I think deservedly so. They haven't panicked with it, Spurs. They haven't got cocky with the ball. They've just played the way they've been playing all night, not taking too many risks in unnecessary situations, and just pressing really intensely if they do lose the ball to win it back off PSG, and winning those in those fine margins, those kind of free kicks, set pieces, throw-ins, can all just keep the momentum ticking over for Tottenham. And with 25 minutes to go, they've got a 2-goal advantage against the European champions. Ball over the top here. They might have even more of an advantage in a moment, because here's a shot for Pape Sarr that was blocked, but he was offside anyway. The midfielder, he made a run in behind Pape Sarr and brought the ball down, had the effort, was blocked behind for the corner, but he just strayed offside. The pass was played to him. They're just really impatient tonight, PSG. I gotta say, they, if you'd have said to me that this team destroyed Inter Milan 5-0 in a Champions League final 2.5 months ago, I wouldn't have believed you. They look completely different. And that might just be an on-the-night thing. It might just be early in the season, not right up to speed, PSG, but not looking likely. Here, Doué has a shot charged down. Still alive. There's a goal. I think the flag might go up anyway. It does on Bradley Barcola. And that's not going to be one that's going to be celebrated for too long. See this again. It's Desiree Doué. Steps onto his left foot. Has the shot. Yeah, and he's miles offside there. Fabian Ruiz, who is the one that ultimately has the shot that is blocked and then falls to Bradley Barcola. So it won't count. It was a little bit better from PSG. Again, very scrappy, but a little bit better from them. But it didn't really matter because it was offside anyway. There's a Spurs player down who took the full force of that shot onto his thigh there, did Kevin Danzo. Put his body on the line for that one, and ultimately the offside flag going up. as they're going to make another change here, PSG at the minute. It's going to see Bradley Barcola come off, and it's going to be, he's going to be replaced by Ibrahim Mbaye, the 17-year-old Frenchman. And also coming on for PSG is going to see Lee Kang-in also joining the PSG team for the second, for the final quarter of this game. So a double change there for the Champions League winners. Maybe there is a bit of positivity. Here's Mbaye down this right-hand side. He's got Jed Spence for company. And Jed Spence does just enough to force that ball out for a goal kick. That's good defending. And his first one-on-one battle there with Ibrahim Mbaye. He comes out on top on that occasion, Jed Spence. Warren Zaire-Emery, by the way, was the other player that was replaced for PSG. So Barcola and Zaire-Emery off, Mbaye and Lee on. They haven't made a change yet, Spurs. They were eyeing up some changes earlier on, but it looks like they might actually be making one change in a moment here. One or two changes, actually. So there's some movement from the Spurs bench now. Rodrigo Bentancur. Sarr trying to find Kudus. Intercepted that time. Now Fabian Ruiz. 22 minutes for PSG to try and rescue this game. Be some rescue job. And if there's one team in Europe that's capable of it, it is PSG. If they can play to their heights, they can turn this around, but Spurs have that 2-goal advantage. Here's Achraf Hakimi. Back to Lee. Now Hakimi again, finding Lee in space. Good movement down the right side, and here's Mbaye in behind. Mbaye with a cutback. Cleared away by Romero. That was better from PSG as they go again. Marquinhos to Hakimi. Going to work it to the far side here with Vitinha. Now Fabian Ruiz driving towards the box. Gives it out wide here. Right foot from Doué with a cross. Blocked and cleared away. Better from PSG. Vitinha. Rolling it in behind for Ruiz. Now out wide to Doué. Doué in the edge of the box goes for another cross. But this one too close to Vicario, who claims quite comfortably for Tottenham. It's better from PSG though. It's only one shot they've had in the second half, but they've had it on target. Maybe starting to be a bit more creative in the last few minutes with those changes and some fresh legs on the field, and maybe that's why Thomas Frank and his coaches are just going to think about making some Spurs changes in a moment. Try and give them a bit of a lift in the energy levels heading into the final 20 minutes. Mendes. Dembele round the corner. Nuno Mendes. Back to Ousmane Dembele. On to Lee. Now Hakimi. Back to Lee. Again, the passing is a bit sharper. A bit more crisp from PSG. A lot faster in its pace. That's a lovely through ball by Hakimi. Ruiz maybe to hold himself. Dembele! Completely wide by Ousmane Dembele. Whether he held himself onside here, he just about maybe from Fabian Ruiz. He cuts it back. Dembele, first time, completely. Well, Solanke is on for Richarlison, we know that. That is the substitution. And the second substitution is going to see João Palhinha come off, and he's going to be replaced by Archie Gray. So a swap in midfield for Tottenham. Archie Gray, who did a lot of his work in the defence last season with injuries to Spurs players, he stepped in, the youngster Archie Gray, to that position and played so well at centre back and at left back at times. But he's going to be in his more natural position of midfield for this game. So till the conclusion, replacing João Palhinha, who has played well, of course, in that loan spell now from Bayern Munich for the season, the Portuguese midfielder. He's going to be replaced by the young Englishman Archie Gray. 19 years old, Archie Gray. Turns 20 next March. So far, so good for Spurs. Under the bright orange moon in Udine. Well, it's only once in a blue moon that PSG would fail to win a game of football. Certainly in recent times. Might the change in the colour of the moon tonight change the fortunes of the Parisians. Luis Enrique and his coaches are trying to figure out what has gone wrong tonight. But it's been the basics of football they've not done well enough. Their physicality, their battling in duels early and on the ground. They've looked sloppy in their possession at times, PSG. They've given the ball away in dangerous areas. And they've given away far too many set pieces, which they haven't defended well enough. And all of that combined, it just sets up what we've seen so far. Yeah, they might have had more than treble the amount of passes that Spurs have had, but when you're doing nothing with it, what's the point? And that's the argument that will always be made to teams that want to dominate possession but don't get their outcome and the result. And it just shows you if they're not at their level, PSG, they can have all the possession they want but have no output. And they've had no output so far tonight, but there's still time for that to change. Here's Vitinha. Now, by the way, whenever those changes were being made by Spurs, they did have a drinks break, so we were stopped for about a minute or so there. That's going to be a Spurs throw-in down the left-hand side. An update from those Carabao Cup first round games for you. 5 ties tonight. 4 of those 5 ties coming to a close very soon. One of them would be going to penalties at the minute. Barnsley 2-1 up against Fleetwood. Bolton 3-2 down against Sheffield Wednesday, but they're down to 10 players. They're yet to enter the additional time. Cheltenham 2-0 up against Exeter. And this one, Huddersfield 2, Leicester City 2. The League One side holding the Championship side to a 2-2 draw at the moment. That would bring them straight to penalties. No extra time in the Carabao Cup. And in that late game, that 8 o'clock kickoff, Birmingham 1, Sheffield United 1 in that all-championship tie. So that could be heading to penalties, but there's still around 14 minutes of play still to go in that one. Now here's a chance for Spurs on the break with about 16 minutes to play, but that one was well played back by William Pacho to his goalkeeper. That's nice play in between the lines here. Fabian Ruiz. Vitinha. To Lee. Out wide it goes to Mbai. Mbai again can't work the ball into the box. Gives it back to Hakimi. Not many players in PSG colours in the area. 2 to be exact. They're not going to try that this time as they work it back to Pacho. Mendes. Vitinha. Tight space. Plays it out and plays it out wide to Mbai. Maybe a little bit overhit, but he's going to keep it in play. Ibrahim Mbai. Now Hakimi. Mbai again down this right channel. Spurs with a lot of bodies in the box. Mbai trying to dribble his way through. Not finding any joy. Cuts it back to Vitinha. Squares it across to Ruiz. Now out to the left-hand side for Doué. Desiré Doué goes for the cross. Cleared away this time by Bentancur. Again, it just seems like Spurs could do this all day. Defend deep and allow PSG to have the ball. Here is Hakimi. He goes for the deep cross. It's a little overhit. It will find Doué at the back post. Around the back down that left channel. Plays it back to Mendes. Now Doué again. More bodies in the box here now for PSG, but they can't find them. And Doué, who is dispossessed by Pedro Porro, fouls Pedro Porro. Free kick to Tottenham. Gonzalo Ramos is going to be coming on here for Desiré Doué. So that was Desiré Doué's last action of the game to give away a foul. And he's going to be replaced by Gonzalo Ramos. And the youngster Desiré Doué, who usually lights up the pitch, just wasn't his night tonight. But he is going to be a superstar, no doubt about that. Desiré Doué, an absolute sensation of a player. Still very, very young. Well, you say that, Nightwolf, about Sonny leaving. Well, Christian Romero's taken over the captaincy, and he's done tonight what Heung-min Son would have done for Tottenham and score in a big moment. So he's taken to that captaincy like a duck to water so far, Christian Romero. And he could start his captaincy by lifting a trophy for Tottenham. That would be just 12 minutes plus additional time away if they can keep this 2-goal lead, or at least keep a lead at any sense. Well, this is only the second time that a French team has ever been in a Super Cup. It was PSG back in 1997, and they lost on aggregate when that was a two-legged affair, and they lost on aggregate to Juventus back then. So no French side has ever won this competition. Certainly French club side has ever won this trophy. But English sides have a fair few numbers in this competition. It would be the sixth, I believe, the sixth English team to win this competition if they do go on to win at Spurs. And that will be some result. As Mohamed Kudus is going to be coming off in his competitive debut for Tottenham since joining for £55 million from West Ham, and gets a real round of applause from those Spurs fans and a real kind of dap up by his manager there, Thomas Frank, as he leaves the field of play and is replaced by Matthias Tell, who was on loan from Bayern last season. Matthias Tell, but he has joined on a permanent deal this summer for Tottenham. Well, this is the 50th edition of the UEFA Super Cup tonight, so that will be a landmark. And 29 of the Super Cup winners have been from the European Cup or Champions League out of the 49 previous editions. So they do have that advantage, 29-20 in the Champions League or European Cup's favour over the Europa League / UEFA Cup. Since 1999, only 8 out of the 25 finals have been won by the Europa League winners. So they haven't been frivolous as of recent times, but it looks like Spurs are going to buck that trend this evening. Here is Ousmane Dembele. As Lee was brought down on the edge of the box, that's going to be a free kick. Matthias Tell bundling over the Korean. Well, the country with the most titles in terms of their clubs with this tournament is Spain, of course, with 17. English clubs have won this 10 times, and Italy have won it. Italian clubs have won it 9 times. So this would be the 11th time that an English club have won the Super Cup, if Spurs get it over the line. And they would join Liverpool, Nottingham Forest, Aston Villa, Man United, Chelsea and Manchester City as English Super Cup winners. Spurs, they would be the 7th different winner. The 7th different English winner of the Super Cup. But they've this free kick to defence. It's Ashraf Hakimi and Lee Kang in over it. It's Lee that takes it. It's blocked by the wall. It falls to Hakimi. It gets rid quickly, but there's going to be a stoppage here for a challenge on one of the Spurs players who's not in a good way at the minute. Let's see this again. Oh, he took a clean whack at it there. Whoever that was blocking that blocked the ball. Is it Pedro Porro? It is Pedro Porro who got a firm whack of the ball, and he goes right to the ground holding his head. So the referee stops the game instantly, and he's going to receive treatment here, Pedro Porro. He's okay to continue there, Pedro Porro. He's up on his feet again. He's just getting those checks. But Luis Enrique watching on. What will he think of his team tonight? They've barely reached double figures in terms of shots. They've had over 70% of the ball, but just one shot on target to this point, PSG. And that's a real damning performance for them. PSG get us back on the way again then, as Porro goes off for the moment. Spurs down to 10 for the moment, have a bit of defending to do as they clear it away from the edge of the 6-yard box. This is probably what the final minutes are going to curtail. Spurs defending and PSG frantically attacking as Lee's cross was blocked right in front of him by Jed Spence it was, yeah, that blocked that ball. Pedro Porro is okay. He's back on the field again. There's the ball down the left here for PSG, and that's blocked behind by Danzo for a corner. Fabian Ruiz there was trying to cross that ball into the box. So another PSG corner to come. It'll be their 5th corner of the match. Only their 2nd corner of the second half. Cleared away at the front post by Porro. Vitinha will take this throw in now. Back to Mendes. Fabian Ruiz to Dembele. Dembele with the early cross. Cleared away. Taken down by Vitinha. He's worked it to Lee, who finds the net. And maybe this isn't over just yet. Lee Caoimhan fires it in. And PSG have a goal back. Only their 2nd shot on target of the night. And that was accurate as it could have been from Lee Caoimhan. One of the substitutes making an impact from the bench. And with just over 5 minutes of normal time, Spurs' lead is cut in half. And could PSG still be in the fight here in the dying embers? 2-1. And the game might just not be over yet. It was a great goal by Lee. Very, very good goal. Well taken. And that'll give them some belief, you gotta say. His last goal was a penalty in the Club World Cup and a 4-0 win over Atletico Madrid. Has also scored for his country, South Korea, very recently as well in World Cup qualifiers. Kevin Danzo's going to take this long throw for Spurs. Into the box it goes. Up and away. Bouncing down though. It's still not cleared away. Porro will have a strike at it, but I think it comes to nothing anyway. I think there was a foul in there. But it's been a while since Lee has scored for PSG in, obviously, barring the FIFA Club World Cup. Outside of that, he scored in a Ligue 1 fixture and a 4-2 win over Angers back in November 2024. 2 goals and an assist in that game, Lee Caoimhan. That was his last domestic goal for PSG. So he doesn't score very often, but when he does, it is impactful. And could the goal tonight that gets them back in the game catapult them to a late comeback here in Udine? And it's all happening. 3 penalty shootouts ongoing in the Carabao Cup at the minute. And we'll inform you of all of those once they have concluded. But 3 minutes to go, and Spurs are getting it as far away from their goal as they possibly can at the minute. Trying ever so desperately to keep PSG at bay. Ruiz. Now Ousmane Dembele down the right-hand channel. Here comes Hakimi. His body's in the box. Hakimi cuts it back to Marquinhos, who works it wide inside to Ruiz. Back out wide again to Hakimi, who will go for the cross again. Headed away by Bentancur. It's one-way traffic at the moment. All PSG attack and all Spurs players back to defend. Hakimi. Dembele. Dembele trying the cross. He'll get the deflection off Spence, and that will get the corner. Look at those PSG fans. The Ultras certainly haven't given up all night, and they're bouncing more than ever before. Dembele goes for the corner. It's cleared away. It's come all the way out, and the shot is fired and deflected over the bar from Nuno Mendes. That would have been on target, and it was... Let's see it. Yeah, it was going back across goal, and I think it might have been Solanke actually that was back defending and headed that one over the bar. Last ditch defending from Tottenham. Another corner for PSG in this right hand side. Dembele again will take. Right footed. Fizz the cross up in the air and away by Sarr at the front post. Once again it's back to Vitinha. Now Nuno Mendes taking on a man he felt he was brought down, but the referee says no. Stumbled over on his own accord there. And that's going to be a goal kick to Tottenham. PSG wanting a foul. Dembele's going to get a yellow for arguing with the referee. That's going to see him get a pretty unnecessary yellow card. He's still going towards the ref. The arm comes across, but it's just strong defending from Kevin Dan, so I don't think it's a foul. As Spurs are going to make another change here. It's going to see Lucas Bergvall come on for Pap Sarr, so a straight swap in midfield. Just to bring on some extra legs in the centre to get them over the line. Pap Sarr, who's played a very big part in Spurs' performance tonight in that midfield. Played really well this evening. And now we'll find out how many minutes Spurs still have to hang on for. 5 minutes is the number. 5 more minutes before Spurs can get excited. That 1-goal lead. Oh, apologies, actually they've changed it to 6 minutes. They said 5 minutes and then they changed their minds. 6 minutes it is. There was no ball, so the game hasn't got back on the way, by the way. There was no ball, so Spurs couldn't get us going again. I don't know whether that's fancy time wasting or it genuinely was. There was no football for Vicario to kick, but certainly not appeased the PSG camp at the minute, as we do get back on the way. So 6 additional minutes then, of which we've almost played one of those. How long will they be able to hang on, Spurs? Will PSG be able to get them level? I do believe there's extra time if needed. By the way, Sheffield Wednesday have beaten Bolton on penalties 4-2. Still going in those penalty games between Barnsley, Fleetwood and Huddersfield, Leicester. Birmingham might have just snatched it against Sheffield United. Jay Stansfield with an 87th minute goal could be claiming Birmingham's first win of the season and a progression to the next round of the Carabao Cup against fellow Championship side Sheffield United. Those games still going. Dembele down the right hand side. Works it with Vitinha, or Lee, sorry. Now Hakimi back to Lee. 4 minutes to go. Back to Marquinhos. Cross now to Mendes. Down the left hand side comes Mbaye. Back to Mendes. Spurs sitting deep, waiting for any cross, any chance to throw themselves at the ball to clear it away. Being patient, PSG. Vitinha picks out a pass of Hakimi. who's closed down well, and a foot race now with Bentancur, but the ball will go out of play before either of them can get to it, and a PSG throw-in comes. Vitinha. Mendes. Vitinha again. Marquinhos. Down the right-hand side comes Lee. Lee trying to cross again. Blocked well by Spence and up and away by Bentancur. But no rest for the wicked here. Spurs right back at them come PSG. Lee swings it out to the far side. Nice switch ball. Taken down by Mbai. Drives onto his right foot. Lays it off to Marquinhos. Marquinhos. Now to Hakimi. Round the back comes Dembele. Across and headed in by Gonzalo Ramos. And they have found a way back, PSG. They couldn't hang on, Spurs. And an equaliser from Gonzalo Ramos has this game level in Udine. With less than 3 minutes to go, it is all level. 2-2. And maybe, just maybe, the European champions are not going to bow out without a fight. Lee got them back believing. And Gonzalo Ramos in the 94th minute has them level. Wonderful moments in this Super Cup final. And it was never going to be an easy task when they sat back, Spurs. But this was beautiful from Dembele. What a cross. And throwing himself at it was Gonzalo Ramos. Fabulous. 2 subs, 2 goals. And it's back level with less than 2 minutes to go. And now they feel they could probably win this, PSG. Or are we heading to extra time? Is there extra time? I'm not too sure. I never thought to think about this. No foul here as Spurs win the ball back. Is it time for them to snatch a winner again? There is time in this game. There is no extra time, by the way. It's just straight to penalties. So a shootout will follow if this ends in a draw. And a shootout that surely PSG will have deserved. Snatching late goals. It'll be cruel for Spurs if they do end up in that way, but we are now minutes away from a possible penalty shootout from a mere probably 10 minutes ago where Spurs were hanging on to possibly win the competition. Here's Hakimi trying the cross, blocked. Stuart Spence blocked it for the throw. One last throw and surely one last attacking move for PSG. In the dying embers here in Udine. 2-2. Can they snatch a winner or will we be heading to penalties? Dembele. Lifts it over the top, round the back. Ramos, oh what a challenge. Great challenge by Danzo. And that was a must needed challenge because Ramos was in again. And he would have been in a very good space to score again. But a fabulous challenge by Danzo denies him. As we're going to be stopped here because there's a Spurs player down. So we 6 minutes up. But Romero's gone down with cramp. And maybe they are just trying to hang out for penalties here now, Spurs. And a much happier Luis Enrique now. The smile has reappeared on Luis Enrique's face. And Christian Romero is going to get back to his feet. How painful would it be? 2-0 up going into the final 5 minutes of the game. And PSG scored 2 goals from 2 substitutes. And there is the full-time whistle. So it is a penalty shootout that will decide the winner of the 2025 UEFA Super Cup. 2-0 up after 85 minutes. That's where we stood for Spurs. But PSG never gave up. They fought to the death. Lee got a goal from nothing to give them belief. And then it was followed up by a great goal by Gonzalo Ramos to level. PSG 2, Spurs 2 after 90 minutes. No extra time, straight to a penalty shootout, which is on the way next. Do stay with us. Sure, one last kick. This is gonna be it. This is the moment. Vicario kicks this. And Liverpool are there. Liverpool are Premier League champions. And there it comes. Crystal Palace, for the very first time in their history, are FA Cup winners. Oh, he's found the net. Oh, what a goal. Kvaratskhelia is through, wants to add a fourth, and does so. Ahmad, oh my goodness me. That is absolutely unbelievable. Rice again. Oh! You thought he couldn't beat the first one. He's gone and battered it. Another whip ball in. The header is in by Virgil van Dijk. Incredible. Welcome back to LFS for penalty shootout time in the Super Cup. It was 2-0 to Spurs after 85 minutes, but it was 2-2 that it finished after 96, and PSG never gave up, and that is why we have a penalty shootout to decide the winner. I'm just going to adjust my position so you can keep an eye on the penalties. There we go, up in the corner. The toss, it's going to be at the Spurs end, where the Spurs fans reside inside the stadium. And we'll see who's going to go first, I believe. And I think Chris Romero won the toss, and I think he's going to decide to go first, I believe. So we're about to see then a penalty shootout to decide the winner of the UEFA Super Cup 2025. Let's see. His first competitive game in charge of Spurs for Thomas Frank starts with a penalty shootout to win a trophy. I mean, what a way to burst it onto the scene and start. Chevalier and Vicario could be heroes. And the referee is going to call both goalkeepers together just to have a chat about all the rules, all the details, about staying on their line and all of that type of stuff. Well, Gigi Donnarumma will be a big miss for Spurs, or for PSG in this penalty shootout. It was written in the stars. If there was a storyline about a goalkeeper, it was always going to be the goalkeepers that were going to be the headlines come into this game. That's always going to be the way. And Chevalier has a big task on his hands here. Luca Chevalier, the 23-year-old Frenchman. And it's going to be Spurs that are going first, so I'll adjust this graphic for you. And it's going to be Dominic Solanke that's going to go first for Tottenham here. At the end of which their fans sit. Dominic Solanke against Luca Chevalier. Can he give Spurs the opener in the shootout? And off to a great start. Dominic Solanke against his fans. Oh, what a penalty. Lovely penalty. And 1-0 to Tottenham in the shootout. That was a fabulous penalty. Chevalier dived the right way, but the height behind it from Solanke carried it into the net. That's a wonderful strike. And Lucas Chevalier could do very little about it. He dived the right way, but the penalty was just too high quality. Now it's PSG's turn. Vitinha to take their first penalty. Guillermo Vicario against him. Sea of white behind the goal. Vitinha in a high pressured moment to level things for PSG with the first penalty of the shootouts. Boos from the crowd behind. Vitinha taking a very slow tiptoe run up and hits it wide. Oh, it's gone wide. That is terrible. I mean, Vicario dived the wrong way, but Vitinha put it wide of the post. I couldn't believe it. You see the keeper going the wrong way, you think it's going to be 1-1. But he slices it wide, Vitinha. And the cockiness of the run-up comes back to bite him. And Spurs step up to take their second penalty. And they could take a 2-goal lead in the shootout. Rodrigo Bentancur steps up for Tottenham against Lucas Chevalier. Can he find the net to double Spurs' lead in the shootout to make it 2 from 2? He does! What a penalty! Lovely penalty by Rodrigo Bentancur. And now Spurs are in the same position in the shootout that they were in normal time. 2 up. And 2 from 2 from the shootout. Both penalties of fabulous quality. Just unsavable. Fabulous penalties. Chevalier again dived the right way, but the quality of the penalty was just too good. And next up, Gonzalo Ramos, the man whose goal brought us to a penalty shootout. Can he make his impact known to really keep the pressure on Spurs in this shootout? Gonzalo Ramos against Vicario and does find the net. That's a fabulous goal. That was right up the middle and no chance for the goalkeeper. Blasting it into the net there, Gonzalo Ramos. Right up the middle. Vicario dived out of the way of it, more or less. He committed, tried to get his feet to it there, but that was a great penalty by Gonzalo Ramos. So 2-1 after 2 penalties apiece. Mickey van de Ven, who opened the scoring tonight for Spurs, hadn't scored in 15 months. It's a step up in the shootout for Spurs. Save by Chevalier! And Spurs have their first miss of the shootout. And now a chance for the pendulum to swing in PSG's favour. It's not a great penalty. He could see it all the way, Chevalier. He went the right way. It's a very good height for him and he made a very good save. And that is really swung back in PSG now. Score this and they're level after the same amount of penalties. And that man, Ousmane Dembele, a Ballon d'Or contender, a Ballon d'Or favourite surely, to level things in the shootout after 3 apiece for PSG. He's got a long run up. He's going to go right footed. Dembele finds the corner, 2-2. And they're right back in the shootout. After 3 penalties apiece, it's all level. 2 penalties apiece to go. It's a very good penalty. Vicario dived to his right. And Dembele knew he put it in the opposite corner. 2-2. The twists and tails of the shootout continues. Next up for Tottenham. He's going to put... And Mathys Tel is going to be next. To restore the lead for Spurs. And to keep them on the front foot in the shootout. Having taken the first of the penalties. Mathys Tel! Oh, he's missed it wide! He's missed it wide, and it's advantage PSG now. 2 scored, 2 missed for Spurs from their first 4 penalties. And now PSG will enter to take their 4th and could take the lead. He's missed it wide. He's got the whole side of that goal to find, and he's completely struck it wide. What a missed opportunity for Matisse Tell. Completely off target. And the pendulum has swung from a 2-goal advantage for Spurs in the shootout to now Lee Caoimhan, who can make it 3-2 after 4 apiece and give PSG an almighty advantage. He gave them the belief to keep this game alive, the Korean. Can he give them the lead in the shootout with 1 apiece to go? Lee Caoimhan does find the nets, and it's 3-2 to PSG after 4 penalties apiece. And now it is advantage surely to PSG. Spurs miss and they lose. It's a must-score penalty for Tottenham now. And who's got that pressure on their shoulders? And it's going to be Pedro Porro that's going to take the 5th and final penalty for Spurs. It would only be the 5th and final penalty if PSG fail to score their 5th and Spurs score. Pedro Porro to level things and give Spurs a chance. Miss and they lose. It's a must score for Porro. Pedro Porro, little jinky run up, right footed, he finds the net. That's a wonderful penalty. 3-3. But there's just one more of the 10 to be played, and it is a PSG penalty that could win them the Super Cup. That is what it comes down to. He dived the wrong way, Chevalier. He found the roof of the net. It was a dangerous one to take from Porro. Could have went over the bar, but he kept it under and hit the roof of the net and made it 3-all. 1 penalty to go. Vicario has to save Nuno Mendes to win the Super Cup for PSG. A miss and it's sudden death. Score and PSG are the Super Cup winners. Nuno Mendes with all the pressure and he comes out on top. PSG are the 2025 Super Cup winners, and they win on penalties from the depths of 2-0 down with 5 minutes of normal time to go, and they claw all the way back to 2-2 in normal time. They find their way to penalties and they win on the shootouts. The first French side ever to win this trophy. And Thomas Frank, like many Spurs managers in the past, have failed at the final hurdle. It's only his first game as a competitive coach for Tottenham. There will be more to come, but they surely squandered a chance to beat the European champions to win another trophy. 2-0 up with minutes remaining, and they couldn't hang on. The might of European champions showed up at the right time and won the trophy. They needed their goalkeeper Chevalier in the shootout, and they needed some nicely taken penalties. But the French side are the team that win the Super Cup. PSG are the Super Cup winners. Paris, for the second time in a few months, will be celebrating a European trophy, heading back to the French capital. PSG, who failed in Europe for so many years, have finally reached success with Luis Enrique when it seems so unlikely late in this game. Never count out the European champions, the mentality of champions, and they have another trophy in the bag for Luis Enrique and his team. A magic moment from Lee Caoimhan, followed up by a wonderful diving header by Gonzalo Ramos, turned this game on its head, and in the shootout it was all end to end, missed moments, big saves, but it is PSG that come out 4-3 in the end. Congratulations to PSG, they start the new campaign in the perfect way. And Spurs, it will be painful, but they'll have to bounce back, because in 3 days' time, their league campaign gets underway. And look at this. All of the squad and the staff of PSG celebrating with those fans at one end of the stadium. And the Ultras travelled all the way from Paris to Udine, and they have been duly rewarded for that. Congratulations to PSG, and they have claimed another European trophy. And they are successful once again for PSG. As I said, the first French side to ever win this trophy. It will be heartbreak for Spurs, but that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes in Europe. You win some, you lose some. They are still the Europa League winners. They still got a European trophy in the bag, and they will head into the new season with a lot of optimism, considering what they held PSG for so long in that game. They led them for so long, but they just couldn't hang on in there to get it over the line. Another season for Spurs, and they will move on to league focus at the weekends. Right, speaking of league focus, let's tell you what's to come here in LFS over the next coming days, because we do have league action for you. The Premier League returns on Friday night as Liverpool host Bournemouth at Anfield. The Premier League champions Liverpool back in action as they look to defend their title Friday night, 8 o'clock here on LFS. And if you want to know who I think is going to be the Premier League champions this year, well, tune in to the Premier League predictions show tomorrow, 1 o'clock. The video will go live here on LFS. Do tune in for that. Not one to be missed. There's some interesting predictions, let me just say that for you to get your teeth into and to get excited by. But it is all glory for PSG once again in the European stage. They failed on the world stage in the summer, but out of the side of that, they have claimed another European trophy. The Super Cup winners are PSG. Congratulations. Thanks for your company, and good night.